सलाम मेरे अजीज पंखों।
They place his palm on his stomach. I can't even imagine myself without them. He sobbed, hiding his face in his palm. His baby is my last hope to live without Jungkook. I will see my Jungkook in him or her. His voice broke. Miss John wiped his tears which came out from their eyes, listening his confession. Jungkook, who was stood outside from room, held his father for support. He felt his heart aching, breaking, repaining, and again repaining at the same time. Miss John, you can't give up on baby, Miss John asked, and they nodded no in response. Miss John, and you were telling my son to give up on his child. You were trying to snatch him away from his flesh, his first child. Miss John scrawled, they who did nothing but sob. I didn't want to hurt you and uncle. They sobbed like a child, screaming in pain and frustration. I can't come up with courage to tell you both and let him tell you both about us. I thought you both would hate me and I can't bear your hatred. I always see my mom in you. I always see my dad in uncle. Whenever he held me and saved me from falling down, I see my parents on you both. I can't bear to lose my another parent, they explained and took toward Miss John with most beautiful innocent face. She felt her heart ache in pain. She let her heart skip and hugged Theo tightly. The boy cried hard in arm of her like there is no tomorrow. Tears made their way down from Mr. John's cheeks. He patted Jungkook's shoulder before hugging him son tightly. They is indeed a Sternberg son, where it's come to Miss and Miss John. They prove that he can even sacrifice his life for them, but what he does not know is that they will never ask for him life because he himself is their life. Mr. John, now stop crying. Mr. John entered in room and held both in him arm. They pat one's back and clears other hair. Sorry, Mr. John. Appa, he whispered and his eyes stared up before they hugged him tightly. Mr. John, will you decide to left over things tomorrow? As soon as Mr. and Mrs. John left the room, they hanged his head low like a culprit kid. They didn't dare to look up toward Jungkook for once. Jungkook kept staring there for minutes before moving toward him. He pushed Tae lightly on bed, fell on his back. Their heart beat wild place. Jungkook kept staring their face for a few minutes before he lay down and peeked his stomach, his eyes getting fixed there, and he kept carrying the regions with love and in his eyes. Jungkook, you are not a mistake, he whispered in cracked voice and got up from the place to leave, but stopped feeling a tug on his wrist. Jungkook, they stopped, but he jerked his hand away, pointed his index finger toward they. Jungkook, don't you dare to talk to me. Jungkook, I am sorry. Your sorry can't take back the word you used for my love and for my baby Taeyong. Keep it with you, he said arrogantly before leaving the room. Taeyong cried for a few more minutes before tide overtook him and he fell asleep in slumber. As he fell on the bed in an uncomfortable position, Jungkook, who was standing outside the door, entered and made him lay down on the bed in comfortable position. He kissed their face with love before placing a kiss on his forehead. Jungkook, you need a lesson for all this, Tae, and I am going to teach you, he whispered angrily before pulling Tae more closer to his chest. Jungkook, I love you. Jungkook peeked his lips and smile captured his face when he murmured, Tae. In his sleep, Jungkook, love you baby. He clears his stomach and keep his palm there for minutes to feel the little fetus, but shook his head in disappointment. Oh, I forget. You are small now, Jungkook said. He pouted as he peeked their forehead on one more time. Thank you for this beautiful gift. Jungkook's eyes had tears before they fell in slumber with him close to his heart. After a few days, Miss John, how long you are going to ignore Tae like this? He doesn't even exist. He placed his hand over his hips and raised his brows. What are you talking about, Mom? Jungkook faked, but shut his mouth as soon as his eyes met with Miss John. Don't play games with me, Jungkook. Mom, I just don't know. It will take time, Miss John. How much time? She asked in irritation. For God's sake, he's pregnant with your child, and you guys didn't even think about marriage till now. She scolded. And one more thing. Why the hell are you angry on him, Jungkook? What do you mean for why I am angry on Tae, mom? Jungkook raised his voice in irritation. For the sake of he thought to leave me and let me get married with someone else, he said angrily, Miss Dawn. And what you did, instead of being a man and confess to us, you wait for Tay to do and even will till to marriage, Miss John repeated. She huffed and sat on the Listen, John Jungkook, agree or not, you both were in mistake. You should made him believe on your love for him. You should love Tae in the way he living you could never be even an option for him. Somewhere you failed, son. You failed to love Tae till the existence where he cannot think of anything else except you. She sighed and finally stood up from her place and headed toward the door of the cabin. Miss John, you are angry with the boy who was ready to spend his whole life to raise your child alone and leave us all just for sake of us because he thought he didn't deserve you. With that, she left the cabin, left him deep in thought. He closed his eyes and flashback in his mind. Flashback. They come back home crying. He went straight in his room and locked himself. Mr. and Mrs. John tried to make they open the door, but he directly died. Mr. and Mrs. John left from there, giving their time, but Jungkook stood patiently on the door. After good 30 minutes, he knocked the door. Jungkook, Taeyang. He called him lovingly and knocked few times, but didn't receive any response in return. He tried once again, and like this he tried several times, but every time he received silence in response. When door flung open, he tied his neck to see Tae, who was standing there with messy hair, puffy eyes, and pink cheeks. Leave me alone, Jungkook. I said, I don't want to talk. Why are you not understanding? He shouted on him and he get back on his feet before placing him inside the room with himself and locked the room. Leave me, Jungkook, they shouted in anger and hit his chest angrily. After breathing him a lot, he held Tae's waist tightly and pinned him on the wall. Jungkook, stop it right now, Taeyong. He groaned angrily and made Tae look in his eyes. He sniffed before silence fell in the room. Jungkook, now tell me what is wrong, he asked calmly. Why would I tell you what is wrong? And what will you do after knowing what is wrong? Oh, I forgot. You will go and tell your old friend that they did a great job by calling me an orphan and what? He spit angrily and willing in his grip, his eyes dark. Listen, Jungkook, how can you think this much low of me, Taeyong? He roared in his ear and tied his grip more. Jungkook, and how dare you call yourself that word? He gritted his teeth angrily. No, no need for your drama, Mr. John Jungkook. Irene told me everything. She told me that you are being friend with me out of sympathy, as no one want to be friend with an orphan and a world like me. He said, and tears streamed down from his eyes. They hiccuped, while willing in his grip. They leave, leave, leave me alone and go. Please. They cried and Jungkook pulled him against his chest before hugging Tae tightly, his eyes watering see him crying. Jungkook, I didn't say anything like this, Tae. He whispered in his ear and Tae shook negatively in turn. I know you hate me, that you always tease me and you don't want me to stay in your mansion. I will go. Jungkook, I don't tease you because I hate you. I tease you because I He stopped and Theung's eyes snapped out his face. They stared him with tears and it took him everything to not kiss the hell out of him. He tried to control himself for confession but failed as he finally crashed his lips against Tae. Pinned him to a wall, he broke the kiss and stared in Tae's wide eyes. He took their face in his palm before joining his forehead with Tae. Jungkook, I tease you because I I love you, Theo. He crashed, confessed, and today is the last time we cried. Jungkook picked his lip before crashing his lips against him for a wild kiss.